Okay, so another unboxing. This package coming in the mail, just landed a second ago. There's a dub. I took the sneakers app, and you know when you hit on the sneakers app it's a GR, because that never happens. But no, this, in all seriousness, is a pair that I've been waiting for a while. Jordan Brand tends to release information about their drops way in advance. It's not like Diadora where you have like a week to say, you know, to make your mind up if you want the pair or not. These come like sometimes a year out. So if you've been up to speed with sneaker drops recently, you'll know what this is just by the box. But I will go through the typical just in case. So TTS for Jordan 1s, I'm always an 12, sorry, UK 11. Obviously I'm British, so I always think of that first. So you have the Air Jordan 1 Retro High OG, white university, red, black. So before we go into the kicks, I think the first super interesting thing here is this box. So I'm just gonna pull that up alongside what's become the OG box. And you can see from like a sizing perspective, they're exactly the same. The red is very different. This red here, I want to say is maybe, this is so the shoe is university red. I don't know what that makes this. Maybe this is varsity and this is university, I don't know. But basically sub out the black for the white. And when I compare these two sneakers in a second, you'll see exactly why the theme of sub out the black for the white kind of works. I have my own opinion on people that are gonna actually do that, but I'll save that for later on in the video. Safe to say, I'm not a huge fan of the idea or the notion of taking an existing shoe and then painting bits of it to turn it into another shoe. For me, like there's a thin line between like it basically being rep or a fake. And I get the Breds cost over £1 at the moment. And these sat on, and they were pretty easy to get on sneakers. I kind of get the reason why someone would do it. I just wouldn't do it myself. So yeah, so that's that. So we'll go into the shoes themselves. Just gonna get rid of this, get rid of the lid, and here they are in their heritage glory, in all of their heritage glory. This up, put this back here. So let's put one down, and then we can go. Actually, maybe we'll put this one down because it's got spare laces on it, and we'll go through the other one. So what we have here is the Jordan 1 Heritage. I think the name comes from the fact that the blocking was sampled, I think, in 1984. For any of the experts and the gatekeepers out there, please keep me honest on that. But I think it was a sample in 84. Everywhere you can see here, that's this university red on the toe box, the swoosh, the heel, and the collar, ankle collar, was all blue. Again, like I've started doing, I'll pop up an image here. I think there was a famous image doing the rounds of a page of like a catalog that you'd order from typically. And it was basically the blue version of this. So there is a lot of heritage in this block. We're just like really not come accustomed to actually seeing it. So I think like a lot of people have basically said that like this area here, so like past the swoosh running down to here, has too much white. I also have an opinion on that. Personally, I feel if this has too much white, then the Bred has too much black. And I've never heard anyone say that. So for me, that tells me that it's just familiarity rather than, I think, real core opinion. I feel like it's just familiarity that people don't have with this kind of block, and therefore they kind of don't, I don't know. I don't want to put words in people's mouths, but I feel like, you know, in 5 years, if they keep doing this block and, you know, instead of they do a purple one, a green one, an orange one, a blue one, people will just become accustomed to it. Not that dissimilar to like what I would call the shattered backboard blocking, which is the OG, but then this middle panel here is white. Like it's just one of those things. So just to touch, I'm just gonna get this shoe out of the way. Just to touch on the materials and like run through of the colorway. So as we've said, red looks like a bread, basically up until here. Then instead of all of this bit being black, it's white, as you can see. This leather is not great. It feels flat and stiff, but not in the way that the 88s do. 3 layers here, so which usually tells me the thicker that is, the better. But who knows, I'm not a leather expert. The red leather is pretty good. That is really soft. Like, you know, I did before the collar bends. It's really soft and nice looking. It looks like a pressed tumble. Get that right close up. It looks more of a pressed tumble than a real tumble, so it's probably a mixture of real leathers and synthetics. White tongue. Black laces come in them. As you can see here, they come OG'd with black laces. But white and red alternatives. I might actually go with the white. From the day I first saw images, I said, you know, black, it's black or nothing for the laces, just to kind of offset versus this piece here and a bit of the branding up here. But I actually seen white as well, and that looks really good. And then you have, you can see it all, but you have white on the insole. I always hate when they do white insoles because they just get dirty so quickly. So, but I think that's the only negative I'll have of the shoe, other than the quality of this leather, is that insole. And when the insole is the only negative you have, you know you've got a pretty decent pair on your hands. So yeah, that's a quick run through of the materials. In terms of like the drop itself, so I know they dropped in Europe a few weeks ago, if not a month or so ago. And I want to say they sat on the sneakers app in most sizes. So I was prepared, that and the fact that if there's a shoe I'm interested in, I start following it on StockX whenever, and you can see the sale prices, and prices in a 12 were going for somewhere between 185 and 205, which for a shoe that cost 170, you think 15 to, what is that, 30 something over retail, like 2, 3, maybe even 4 months before the drop, is not normal. And that's a sign of like either they've made 2 million pairs or no one wants them. So I didn't think these would be difficult to get. And then when they sat in the UK, that became even more apparent. And then here, they didn't sit, but they were pretty easy to get. Or they didn't sit in my size. They sat in most sizes under, I think it was this under 8.5 or under 8. So maybe like 4 through 6 or 7. Again, I'll show a few images up here of, I think it was DTLR, Hibbert's, a few websites where they sat, and probably a few others that I just don't check and don't use. So yeah, it's potentially like the changing of the guard maybe, and the Jordan 4s, like the military black was bloody impossible to get. The infrareds are going to be impossible to get. So it feels like the Jordan 4s are more difficult, and then the Jordan 1s are now getting easier, which is a good thing for me because I prefer 1s over 4s. But I mean, I love both, but you know. Then the last bit I was going to talk about before we pull out the comparison pair is the elephant in the room Travis Fragment OG High. Basically the same shoe with all the red components turned blue. This swoosh in black, and obviously the huge like upside down, like kind of looks like that kind of shape. The only reason I was slightly baffled by how unpopular this is the fact that the Travis Frag High goes for like $3,000 in my size maybe, and obviously the materials are slightly different. It does have a slightly aged midsole, and obviously it has like the pocket around the seaming here, which like the typical ones do. That's on my list to try and get. It's just too expensive, so I'm not even bothering to look. So yeah, that's like the last one. As I say, like image up here of that Travis High. So I'm just gonna pull out a comparison. So you guys can see what I meant earlier when I said, I'm actually gonna put this on the table, whatever. So you can see a comparison versus the bread. And you know, I mentioned earlier, dudes kind of painting this white area all the way up to here in black, and then you basically have this shoe. But the problem for me is like, that's not the same. This is clearly a better grain of leather. You can feel it. The lining is completely different. This is the more plasticky lining. It's actually better, I think, this one, for not getting sock stuff on it. But this is also pretty good. What else is different? I mean, it's a different red as well. It probably doesn't show here, but it is not the same red. It's University and what's the other one? Yeah, this is Varsity red and this is University red. They're pretty close, I think, but they don't look bang on. No, this is a bit richer. The Bred also has this. No one can tell on your foot, but it does have that. But yeah, I don't know. For me, like, I don't really care what other people think or think they can see. For me, I just know I have a heritage on my foot that I've painted. So it's just not something that I've ever really thought of doing. But yeah, that's kind of like just my thoughts on it. Seeing a lot of people on Facebook that want to do it or have done it, and it looks good. I think just like for me, as I say, it's just not something that I'd ever want to do. So yeah, these are the two pairs. I'll hold them just sideways for a sec so we can see them like similar lighting. And you can see the difference in the red really coming through now. It's just not the same color. So yeah, that's the review and the comparison. One thing I was going to say is I think this blocking is probably going to become like colloquially known as heritage blocking. We have the shattered backboard blocking, which is just basically named after the first shoe they did in that block. You have like the metallic blocking, which is like this, and so the ankle collar each side of the red here, and then the swoosh is the same color and the rest of it's white. You have black toe, where basically this bit is a color, and then the rest of it is black and white. So these bits in white and then this bit in black. What else do you have? Oh, obviously the Chicago red, all of this bit being red, white, and then red, and then white. And then yeah, that's kind of it. And I think this will become known as the heritage block. And I don't know how much money Jordan Brand have made off their shoe, whether they've like made the typical amount of money less or whatever. But I think if this is a commercial success at all, they're gonna make a ton. It's just like the way they do things, they're gonna make a ton. So everything you see here that's red will most likely be redone in purple. Yeah, probably like a pine green, and then again in a court purple, and then again in a taxi yellow, and then again in a starfish orange, so on and so forth. But yeah, I hope so, because I really like this, but I guess let's see. Yeah, over and out.